Michael, I am, I'm kind of anticipating some news, I'll put it that way. I was supposed to do three appointments, medical appointments in total before I could start testosterone, and then I had my second appointment, and Doc sent me downstairs for lab work and said, as soon as the lab work comes back, you're all set. And I was so excited. Waiting for lab work, just getting all wound up, and then all of a sudden the nurse calls and says, well, we need to talk about your lab work. Your cholesterol was a little high, your A1C, which is the measure of blood sugar, for a diabetic, which I do have diabetes, was a little high, and your triglycerides were high, and he's going on, and I'm freaking out because, okay, so this is not new information, but the difference is now I'm trying to get hormones, and that's been the one thing that they've been kind of throwing out is that, if I start hormones and my cholesterol's already high, then it could make it worse. And I've been freaking out because they've never actually told me no, you can't have testosterone, but it's been sort of implied, and I've been worried about it. And at the end of the conversation, I asked the nurse, I said, so am I still getting my testosterone or not? And he said, well, gee, I don't know. Let me find the doc and ask him and get back to you as soon as I can. Well, guess what? It was Thursday, and Friday being a holiday, the 4th of July, and I'm still sitting here going, so thank God for my support network. People online have told me, what, they're not going to keep you from getting tea. I have an appointment next week on Tuesday to go in and see the doc. So I'm sure we'll work it all out. And nobody has said I couldn't have it, but I've been just sort of left in this limbo of oh my God, am I getting it or not? A little bit of a freak out for me, but everybody online and everybody at my support group that I go to is saying, what, they're not going to hold it from you. They're going to lecture you about your diet, which I'm trying to fix anyways. Because, I want to live, Aside from that, the other big thing that's been weighing on my mind, I've been talking about doing a video on this for some time, is that the entire LGBT community, trans people included, one of the major things that we face as a minority group is a lack of support. When you think about it, there's racial discrimination, there's a lot of racism out there, but at least when you're from a racial group, if you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, what have you, your family usually is too, and supports you in that. And you never have to come out as Black, and you never have to sit your mama down and say, listen, I think I'm Black. You never have to worry about losing your entire family, and you never have to worry about losing your spirituality. You don't have to worry about your church saying, listen, we don't agree with who you are. People with disabilities, their churches never cast them out. That's something pretty specific to the LGBT community, is that we face this huge lack of support. We have our families stripped away from us. We have our friends stripped away from us. We have our churches, our spiritual network stripped away from us. And sometimes our spiritual beliefs. Sometimes we're told flat out, listen, you can't be a member of this belief system anymore. And unfortunately, a lot of us believe that, and we go off and we're alone after that. We can reach out to other LGBT folk, hopefully. We find that network, we find others. But I think that's one of the major factors in why we have some of the highest rates of suicide. It's a real problem in our community. And that's been partially true for me. I've had other issues with my family, as I've mentioned, my mother's an alcoholic, and I haven't been very close with my family. I grew up in the foster care system, so most of my family was stripped away, but I was weird when I was a kid anyways. There were some fights around gender things. It wasn't the major issue, but it was a minor. It was something that was there as well. And as far as my spirituality, knowing that I was different, it was I could go in and masquerade, but I knew that wasn't real. So actually, and it's funny because my mother's an alcoholic, but like we actually, like in my grandparents' generation and prior to that, very strong spiritual roots in our family. My grandpa was actually a Baptist minister, although he was my grandma's second husband. But on and on about my family. Anyways, so yeah, there's been some distance from my support network, and that's true of a lot of LGBT folk. And sometimes it seems like maybe even more so for the trans folk. That we've been just kind of shunned by everyone. And your whole support network is gone. And so that's been something I've struggled with most of my life. But within the past, I'd say pretty much since the kids were born, but especially like the past 5 years, I'll say. I've been searching. I've been like looking for somewhere that I could plug in this, like, having been born with like really strong religious beliefs and a need for some sort of spirituality, and finding somewhere that I could plug that into, some community. And I fell into the Unitarian Universalist Church. I started going, and I found that the people there were just amazing. The belief system fit with what I believe. I tend to be pretty liberal. That people were just, the diversity was really awesome to go in and see. That it was such an open church that like you can come in believing almost anything. And like literally there are atheists that go. And everybody is not very, like, so non-judgmental and just open and don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. And there's so much diversity, so many different kinds of people come. It's so awesome. And so that having been the case, then these past few months when I came out as trans, and it was kind of amazing actually how just having that network and how they've kind of been really supportive of me. One thing that happened after I came out, and I hadn't really specifically let anyone from the church know yet, but I walked into church the first day after I'd come out on Facebook, and some of the church members are on my Facebook, and I came in and they had a new name tag for me. And that was hard. Like, I almost started crying. They've been like just so supportive and so great. And I remember just thinking, for all the trans people out there that have nobody, for all of the LGBT folk out there that have nobody to support them and that have had their spirituality stripped away and told, no, you can't have a relationship with God anymore because of how you are. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm so lucky to be a part of this congregation and to have the support from these folks. And I remember thinking, like, how I wish that I could just bottle that up and give it to every other trans folk that I know. Something I recommend anyways, my own personal opinion. But anyways, I've gotten a little long here. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.